Let's be honest for a second. You probably woke up this morning and immediately checked your phone. Maybe you saw an email that made your blood pressure spike, or you saw a news headline that made you want to move to a bunker in New Zealand. Or maybe you just saw that your ex is living their best life on Instagram while you are eating cold pizza over the sink. We live in a world that is constantly screaming at us. It is loud, it is chaotic, and it is incredibly good at making us feel anxious, angry, and generally overwhelmed. We act like the universe is personally out to get us because the Wi-Fi is slow, or because the barista put dairy milk in our latte when we specifically asked for oat milk. This is where Ryan Holiday steps in with the Daily Stoic. Now, do not let the word stoic scare you off. I know it sounds like a guy who stands in the rain without an umbrella, pretending he's not cold, or someone who has repressed their emotions so deep they're basically a walking spreadsheet, but that is not what this is about. This book is a collection of wisdom from the ancient Stoics, guys like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. These were Roman emperors, playwrights, and former slaves who lived 2,000 years ago, yet somehow they understood the human condition better than most modern therapists. They figured out a user manual for the human brain before electricity was even a concept. The core problem this book solves is simple. We are miserable because we are trying to control things we cannot control, and we are ignoring the only things we actually can control. We are emotional puppets being jerked around by traffic, politics, and other people's opinions. Ryan Holiday takes these ancient, dusty texts and translates them into short, punchy daily lessons that slap you in the face with reality. So, grab a coffee, sit down, and let's talk about how to stop losing your mind in a world that has officially gone crazy. We're going to break this down into a few key lessons that might just save your sanity. The first and most important lesson is what the Stoics call the dichotomy of control. This is the absolute foundation of the whole philosophy. If you get nothing else from this, get this. There are two categories in life. Category A includes things you can control. Category B includes things you cannot control. The list for Category A is actually very short. You control your mind, your actions, your character, and your decisions. That's it. That's the whole list. Category B is everything else. The weather, the economy, what people think of you, whether you get promoted, traffic jams, and whether your sports team wins the championship. Here's the funny part. We spend about 99% of our energy freaking out over Category B. We scream at the television when the referee makes a bad call. We lose sleep because someone left a rude comment on our post. We ruin our entire day because it started raining when we wanted to have a barbecue. Think about how insane that is. You're yelling at the sky. The sky does not care. It's water vapor. It has no agenda. Imagine you're on an airplane. You're sitting in economy, your knees are crushed against the seat in front of you, and the turbulence starts. The plane is shaking like a washing machine. You gripping the armrest until your knuckles turn white does absolutely nothing to keep the plane in the air. You worrying about the pilot's credentials does not fly the plane. You are cargo. Your only job is to sit there and decide how you're going to react. You can sit there and hyperventilate, or you can put your headphones on and watch a movie. The external situation is the same, but your internal experience is completely different based on your acceptance of what you can and cannot control. Stop trying to fly the plane from seat 34B. This leads us right into the second big lesson, which is that perception is reality. The Stoics argue that events themselves are not good or bad. Events are neutral. They are just things that happen. It is our judgment of the event that makes it terrible. Shakespeare actually stole this from the Stoics when he wrote that there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Let's say you get fired from your job. Your immediate reaction is probably panic, anger, and a feeling of doom. You tell yourself this is a disaster, but is it? Maybe that job was crushing your soul. Maybe your boss was a nightmare. Maybe getting fired is the kick in the pants you needed to finally start that business or find a career you actually like. 5 years from now, you might look back and say getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to you. The event, you losing your job, is just a fact.
The story you tell yourself about it, that you're a failure and you'll starve, is an opinion, and opinions can be changed. Think of it like wearing tinted sunglasses. If you wear red glasses, everything looks red. If you wear blue glasses, everything looks blue. You can't always change the world, but you can swap out the glasses. If you're stuck in traffic, you can view it as a personal insult from the universe and sit there stewing in rage, or you can view it as a surprise 30 minutes of free time to listen to your favorite podcast or audiobook. The traffic is the same. The cars are not moving. But in one version, you arrive home with an ulcer, and in the other, you arrive home having learned something new. It's a Jedi mind trick you play on yourself, and it works. Now, before we move on to the next point, I want to take a quick second to ask you to help me out with something I can't control, which is the YouTube algorithm. If you're enjoying this, please hit that like button and subscribe. It tells the robots that this video is worth watching. And I'm curious, what is a trivial Category B thing that you tried to control recently? Did you yell at a printer? Did you get mad at the wind? Let me know in the comments. It makes me feel better to know I'm not the only one. All right, lesson number 3 is about dealing with difficult people. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He was the most powerful man on earth. He could have had anyone killed just by snapping his fingers. But every morning, he would write in his journal to prepare himself. He would write something like, "Today I will meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and unsocial." He didn't write this to be negative. He wrote it so he wouldn't be surprised. We get so offended when people are rude or incompetent. We act shocked. But why? There are billions of people on this planet. Statistically, a significant portion of them are going to be annoying. Expecting everyone to be nice, competent, and considerate is like walking into a circus and being shocked that there are clowns. Of course there are clowns. It's a circus. When someone cuts you off on the highway, do not take it personally. That person doesn't know you. They're not thinking, "I'm going to ruin this specific person's day." They're probably late, or they're distracted, or maybe they're just not very good driver. It has nothing to do with you. Imagine them as a stinging nettle or a thorny bush. You don't get mad at a bush for having thorns. That's just what bushes do. You just walk around it. Treat rude people like forces of nature. You don't argue with a hurricane, and you shouldn't argue with a troll on the internet. Protect your peace. Do not hand the keys to your happiness to some random stranger who's having a bad day. Lesson number 4 is about the concept of memento mori, which is Latin for remember you will die. Now, I know this sounds dark. You're thinking, hey, I came here for life advice, not to be depressed. But the Stoics didn't see death as a depressing thing. They saw it as the ultimate motivation. We live our lives like we have an unlimited budget of time. We scroll through social media for hours. We hold grudges for years. We put off our dreams until someday. We act like we're going to live forever. But the truth is, your time is a prepaid phone card, and the minutes are ticking down right now. You don't know when the call is going to cut off. It could be 50 years, or it could be next Tuesday. Thinking about your mortality gives you clarity. It cuts through the nonsense. If you knew you only had a year left to live, would you really care about that awkward thing you said at a party 3 years ago? Would you really spend your afternoon arguing about politics with your uncle on Facebook? No. You would focus on what actually matters. You would tell the people you love that you love them. You would eat the good food. You would do the work you care about. Think of it like a deadline. If your boss tells you a project is due whenever you feel like it, you'll never get it done. You'll procrastinate forever. But if your boss says it's due at 5 p.m. today, you suddenly become the most productive person on earth. Death is the ultimate deadline. Use it to stop wasting your life on things that don't matter. It's not about being morbid, it's about urgency. Stop hitting the snooze button on your life. The 5th lesson is about process over outcomes. In modern society, we're obsessed with results. We want the $1 million, the six-pack abs, the viral video, the gold medal. We attach our self-worth to the outcome. But remember lesson 1, the outcome is often out of your control. You can train harder than anyone else and still lose the race because you tripped or because the other guy was just naturally faster. You can write the best book ever and have it flop because the publisher went bankrupt. If you tie your happiness to the result, you're setting yourself up for misery. The Stoics say focus entirely on the process. Focus on doing the work. The archer can aim the arrow, pull the string back with perfect form, and release it at the exact right moment. That's the process. Once the arrow leaves the bow, it's out of his hands. A gust of wind might blow it off course. That's the outcome. Focusing on the score makes you play worse. If you're constantly looking at the scoreboard, you're not looking at the ball. Have you ever tried to be funny, like really tried hard to make people laugh? It usually fails miserably because you're desperate for the reaction. But when you're just relaxed and being yourself, you're naturally funnier. Think of it like planting a garden. You can buy the best seeds, prepare the soil, water them, and make sure they get sunlight. That's your job. You can't reach into the dirt and pull the plant up to make it grow faster. It will grow when it grows. If you obsess over the harvest, you'll neglect the watering. Love the work, not the applause. The applause is extra credit.
Lesson 6 covers a fancy term called premeditatio malorum, which basically means the premeditation of evils. This is the art of negative visualization. Most self-help gurus tell you to visualize success. They say, imagine yourself driving the Ferrari. Imagine yourself living in the mansion. The Stoics say that is cute, but try this instead. Imagine everything going wrong. Before you go on a trip, imagine losing your luggage. Imagine your flight gets canceled. Imagine getting food poisoning. Why on earth would you do this? Are you a masochist? No. You do it for 2 reasons. First, if you imagine the worst-case scenario, you can prepare for it. If you anticipate losing your luggage, maybe you pack a change of clothes in your carry-on. Now, if the airline loses your bag, you are not stranded. You are prepared. Second, it robs the anxiety of its power. We are usually more afraid of the uncertainty of bad things than the bad things themselves. By looking the monster in the eye, you realize it is not that scary. You realize, hey, if I lose my job, I will survive. I can move to a smaller apartment. I can drive a cheaper car. I will be okay. Once you realize the worst-case scenario is survivable, you become fearless. You can take risks because you are not paralyzed by the fear of failure. It's like a fire drill. We do fire drills not because we want the school to burn down, but so that if it does, we do not panic and trample each other. We calmly walk to the exit because we have already run the scenario in our heads. Finally, Lesson 7 is amor fati. This is Nietzsche's term, but it is a purely Stoic concept. It means love of fate, not just accepting your fate, but loving it. This is the next level of acceptance. It is looking at a terrible situation and saying, good, this is exactly what I needed. Did you get injured? Good, now you have time to focus on reading or training your mind. Did your business fail? Good, now you learned a valuable lesson that will make your next business successful. It is the idea of using every obstacle as fuel for the fire. Marcus Aurelius said that a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. If you throw a giant log into a small fire, it puts it out. But if the fire is strong, it consumes the log and burns even brighter and hotter. Be the fire. When life throws trash at you, burn it. Use it. Don't just tolerate the difficult moments. Embrace them as opportunities to practice virtue, patience, and resilience. If you're stuck in a long line at the grocery store, don't just stand there grinding your teeth. Use that time to practice patience. Say to yourself, thank you, universe, for this opportunity to train my patience muscle. It sounds cheesy, but it flips the script. You go from being a victim of circumstance to being a student of life. So, let's bring this all home. The Daily Stoic isn't about memorizing quotes to sound smart at dinner parties. It is a toolkit for mental toughness. It is about realizing that the world is going to do what the world does. It will rain, electronics will break, and people will be rude. You cannot stop that. But you can build an inner fortress that is impregnable to all of that noise. You have to realize that you are the narrator of your own life. The events are just the plot points, but you get to write the commentary. You can write a tragedy where you are the victim of a cruel world, or you can write a comedy where you navigate the chaos with a smirk and a shrug. The next time you spill coffee on your white shirt, before you scream, pause. Ask yourself, is this in my control? No, it already happened.
Can I change my perception? Yes, it's just a shirt, and maybe the stain looks artistic. Am I going to let this ruin my day? Absolutely not. You clean it up, you laugh about it, and you move on. That's the work. It is not something you achieve once and then you're done. It's a daily practice. That's why the book is called The Daily Stoic. You have to brush your teeth every day or they get gross. You have to shower every day or you smell bad. And you have to wash your mind with these principles every day or you start to get clogged up with anxiety and resentment. So, here's my final piece of advice for you. Stop waiting for things to be perfect to be happy. Stop waiting for the weekend, for the vacation, for the promotion. The perfect moment is never coming. This is it. This messy, loud, imperfect moment is your life. Love it, or at least stop fighting it. And hey, seriously, if you made it this far, you're clearly one of the good ones. Do me a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so we can learn more cool stuff together, and go leave that comment about the pettiest thing that made you angry this week. I really want to read them. Until next time, keep your cool, focus on what you can control, and remember, we're all just monkeys on a floating rock, so don't take it too seriously.